Hey everyone. So I just wanted to take the time to show you guys a quick way of doing cloth, instead of going like exporting this, going into Marvelous and then putting the cloth there and then simulate it and then going back and then texturing and everything, Just wanted to show you a quick way to save time on doing cloth in Blender. So first thing I did is, I went to my shader editor and I put this texture that I found online of a cloth, where you can find it on textures.com and any other texture website, right? So after I did the texturing, what I do is, let me just show you. I went to the UV, adjusted because I didn't want those white borders. And after that, so there's this tool called Simply Cloth, and it's super, super easy to work with. And let me just show you guys. So the first thing you have to do is obviously you press edit mode. Let me just turn this on because for some reason I always forget to turn it on. All right, so now it's on, going back to Simple Cloth. So you press edit mode and you notice that there's no, subdivision. So obviously we have to subdivide it a couple of times. So that's what we do. We subdivide it like this, maybe another time. All right, let's just look at it like this. Let's add the cavity, both screen. And then, yeah, good so far. So let's say we want this to collide with that, right? So all you do is, this is the add-on Simple Cloth. So what you do is you create cloth, and now it's a cloth. So check this out. In the presets, you can see which type of cloth you want, like a leather, rubber, silk, it doesn't matter. Like there's multiple and different type of cloths to make use of. And, what you do then is, if we press play right now, look at that. But before that, I actually forgot to show you guys. So, I already put the collision. So before you, like, let's say usually you just activated this one, right? And then you press play. Just go through it. Why? Because you didn't activate the collision on the objects that it's going to interact with. So you have to press this one, and then in the Simply Cloth you do activate. Also on the floor, activate. And one thing that I have to note as well is, let's just press play before I do that. So right now, if you press play and then you pause it, check this out. It's colliding with each other, but you notice that it's not the collision. It's not like one-on-one on the objects and on the floor, right? So a good way to fix that is let's press reset again. Here we go into our physics properties. We go down, and then in the object collision distance, you change it to somewhere around 0.005, and then the same thing for this one. If you go there and then you check the let me check outlet, yeah, thickness outer, also 0.005. all right, so if we play it now, let's check. Play. All right, you see, now it's being way more close, right? But kind of looks weird. So let's just, to make it even, more clear, let's just rotate it like this and then press play. Oh, look at that, right? Just saves you so much more time after you press pause. Cool thing is it already has like a smooth shader on it. And then if we go to the texture, check that out. So because we textured it in the beginning, it's already textured, and all the other all the other stuff, the tool is doing it for us. So it just saves us a lot of time, by making use of this. And the cool thing about this is also like, let's say we reset again, and then I'm just going to this mode because it's just a bit faster. So what you could do is like, you go to edit mode, you select this part, maybe that part, this part. No, let's just keep it like this. And then what you do is you go to pin group, and then you create new pins. And then if we go back and we press play now, oh shit. Look at that. Now, all of a sudden, you have a roof above your head. And how cool is that, right? It just saves you so much time and effort to do this. And then after you're done, you just press apply cloth. For some reason, it doesn't do that, but you can just do it manually in your modifiers. You just press apply, apply, apply. Then if we go back to it, voila. And the cool thing about this also is like, you know, if we create cloth, you can also just play with the folds, the weight, the wrinkles, stiffness, the level of subdivision, you know, how detailed it's going to be. There's a lot of different things that you can play around with, you know, and, you know, again, I implore you guys to just take the time to play around with it. So yeah, that's one tool I wanted to talk about. So the second thing I wanted to show is this tool called the particle system, and particle system are used to simulate large amounts of moving objects, created phenomena of higher order like fire, dust, clouds, grass, water, whatever you want. So I'm just going to show you guys what it does, and then, you know, why it's useful for your image making and saves you a lot of time. So first thing we're going to do is let me check. Let me just turn this off. We don't need this. Oh, this is fine. Particle system is on. All right. So you just press the plus. First thing you do. And then after that, what we do is we go to hair. You noticed. All right. So good. So far, so good. Number, like, let's just keep it low first, right? We're going to put the rotation, and what this means, or rotation axis, is basically like which direction is it pointing towards, you know? Is it pointing towards the z-axis, y-axis, or the normal map? So it's just following the form itself. So we're just going to go for, well, it's like, because it's flat, we can put on z just fine, or just keep it on none. Let's see if that does anything. Put it on z, and then in the render path, we're going to put in collection, and then what we have to do is, you know, instead of selecting them individually, we're just going to make a group out of it. And the reason why we're going to do that is because, you know, like, I want the grass to have different type of strains in it and not just one type of grass, and then, you know, multiply it a couple of times. So we're going to make a new collection grass, call it grass. All right, that's a collection now. So what we go back to the plane here. We are going to select the grass, and this is what it looks like so far. But let's just turn up the scale. All right, this is what we want. Randomness a bit, so that, you know, they're not equally big or anything. And then in the rotation, you can even randomize that as well. Like, just randomize a bit, just so it, you know, it looks a bit more unique, heavy strain. So after this, you're like, all right, how do we control where it's going to grow and where it's not going to grow, right? So what we do now is we're going to go into our weight paint. And as you can see, I already painted something, but let's just delete that. So when you right click, so the weight is, you know, how strong, the more red it is, the more stronger it's going to show the grass. The more it goes, you know, towards blue, the less visible the grass. So we're just going to keep the weight on 1. Or if you put it on 0, you can actually delete stuff like this, right? Radius, and you can even play with the strength. So let's just, all right. So we have the weight like this. Just going to paint in, like, let's say I want my grass to kind of, you know, maybe there's an opening there, which gives the reason why the grass is growing like this, right? All right, maybe you want something like this, but then you're like, you know what? I don't want it to run here. Maybe something like this. All right, so we go back to object mode, and then what we do here is we go back to the particle system, and then what you do is you go to vertex group, you press the density, and then what it basically does is the particle group that we painted is here. It's in the vertex group, the particle paint. So we're just gonna call it grass paint, so it's more clear for us all. And then in the density, you press the grass paint. So right now we don't see much, right? That's because we have to pull up the number of seeds. See that the more seeds there is, look at that. And then all of a sudden you have your abandoned place. Even add more of it. And I think even if you go to interpolar, it's gonna add even more. You see, so this means basically like every one strain in this area adds 10 more strains in the display. So let's do something like this. And you know, as you notice that there's no fall off or fade off or something. So what you do is you go to the length, which you also like, so just to show you, you see that? So there's like smaller ones here, and then slowly, gradually goes into the bigger particle grass. And then let's say you want to invert it, you just press this one. And basically what it does is it inverts what you had before, you know? You see that? Instead of this part, it does everywhere except that part that you painted in. And still, like, you can still adjust the weight paint, you know? Let's say you want to, check this out, you want to add something around here. You see the weight was on 0, so it wasn't adding anything. You see that? Now we have more grass. And then let's delete it again. And now we don't have as much grass. So yeah, that's the particle system.